Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Liverpool Connection podcast. This is our childhood heroes series, and who better to have and tell us about his childhood hero than former Liverpool player David Fairclough. David, thanks for coming on. It's nice to see you again. Everybody's childhood hero. If you ask, a lot of Liverpool supporters, they probably don't go as back as far as you and some of the others. They'll say Gerrard or Torres, or for me, mine's Keegan. But a lot of them will say Dalglish. Now, your childhood hero is the great Roger Hunt.
Yes, obviously I started following Liverpool in the early '60s, and it was very great. It was a great period to follow. You could probably choose any one of half a dozen players in that Liverpool team of the '60s, but I was always attracted more than anything else to the man who scored all the goals. Very much the golden boy, Roger Hunt.
Mm-hmm. And as a child, were you able to? Did you get to see him?
Oh yeah, I went many times. I was going, from about the age of 4 to Anfield and reserve teams games at that point. Well, I didn't really. My earliest memory of going to a first team game was the day Liverpool won the league against Arsenal in 1964.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw Roger many times, and if we were off school as any, as you were, because I lived so close to Anfield, we would regularly go up for autograph collecting, and Roger was always the one that you very much, wanted. Spent hours and hours at Anfield waiting and watching for the players, and all the books and things and souvenir. I kept scrapbooks and cut out pictures. Roger was always the number one, and I was so lucky years later to be in the ex-Liverpool group and become good, good friends, familiar friends with Roger himself.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. The old saying, "Don't ever meet your heroes," but obviously you did. It's just got to be amazing. Like I said earlier, my granddad's hero was Roger Hunt as well, and he never got to meet him. But I've just heard nothing but he's such a gentleman. Was just a class fella.
Oh yeah, he was a class act. He was a great footballer, and the thought of him, he was first choice in the England '66 team, and I think that bears testament to how high he was valued and how respected he was in the international game at that time. My one probably regret with Roger, seeing him score many goals, many memories, but the sort of the everlasting one is the fact that he never scored in the World Cup final. I'd loved him to put that ball over the line, and obviously there wouldn't have been such controversy over was it over the line or was it not. But the fact I think that Roger was the one who clearly sort of witnessed the ball dropping off the crossbar and saying it was over the line was a marker, I think, of the fact that it's been getting that endorsement of Roger Hunt was quite special.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think England has not won a World Cup since '66. But yeah, you look at his stats: 492 games and 286 goals. That's mental.
Yeah, he would be scoring twos and threes. If Liverpool scored, a single goal, more often than not, it was a Roger Hunt effort. Alongside Dean St. John, they formed a formidable partnership, and many would have had St. John as a favourite, and it would have been nip and tuck. My dad's favourite was Dean St. John at the time. But no, always a Roger fan. And as I say, I was lucky enough to become quite friendly with him. He presented me with an award some years after I finished. Now, the fan club chose me to present Roger with a similar award a little time later. And, yeah, I became very, very familiar with Roger Hunt. And as you say before, they say never meet your heroes. Quite often they don't live up to expectation, but Roger very much did. And you talked down the years, the lads who played in the 60s all said Roger was their hero as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, he's very mild-mannered, but isn't there a story where there was some lad was calling him names? What is it? Over the bar Hunt, and he actually threw his shirt into the crowd, which is very unlike Roger.
Yeah, never heard that one. I know there was a guy who played in the 40s and 50s, Jack Barmer, and he had the title Over the Bar Barmer. But Roger was deadly, and I mean the reason he took his shirt off when he did was because he'd been substituted for the first and only time, during his years at Liverpool. I think it was very rare for Roger to show any sort of sign of discontent or disgust at a Shankly decision. But on that night, because there was kind of an unwritten rule, Shanks had sort of always said that he wouldn't make any substitutions unless he had to, because of it would only be because of odd injuries. That night, though, Roger maybe wasn't performing as the way Shanks wanted, and decided to make a change. First and only time in his Liverpool career, and it was a great shock to everybody when Roger Hunt took his shirt off and threw it at the foot of the box when Shanks and Bob Paisley were sitting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just don't think of, like, because footballers and taking their shirt off now is every match, when they score. But like back then, taking your shirt off was kind of like, you're disrespecting the badge, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's true. And it's kind of, to all Liverpool fans of that time, I mean, that would have appeared sacrilege. But Roger was so badly affected by the decision. Very weird. I was there on that night. I'm not sure if it was Sheffield Wednesday we played, but it was it was a mad moment. The only moment I sort of personally, witnessed Roger being anything but a gentleman.
Yeah, I mean, again, just looking at stats, and he played in the 60s, and his goal record in the league has not been beaten. Rush has beaten the all-time goal scoring, but that's playing in Europe as well. But that still holds true today, which is crazy.
Yeah, the old the game in the past. Lads didn't play in as many games. There wasn't as many competitions. The competition that you played in were very meaningful. So, and I heard it mentioned the other day in some courses. It appears football only started with the invention of the Premier League, but there are plenty of records in the record books that need to be really, really respected for what they were massive achievements, and Roger Hunt was not short on achievements.
Yeah, exactly. Did you go to the FA Cup final against Leeds?
I didn't in '65. I went to the World Cup final in '66, but to get a ticket for the cup final, I mean, at that point I was 8, so to have gone to the FA Cup final would have been a bit sort of difficult at that time. Years later, though, I say a year later, I went to the World Cup final, and Roger was in from the start. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just because I remember my granddad telling me about the cup final. I was, obviously not even born then, but he later on told me like Roger, you know, was just magnificent with St. John as well. And then both of them, you know, extra time, Roger getting the goal and then St. John scoring the winner, you know, for the first FA Cup title for us, which is still crazy to think of, you know, the history of Liverpool Football Club, and 65 was the first time we won the FA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I'd obviously been only, as I say, watching Liverpool for a handful of years, but I was fully aware of the desire to win the FA Cup for the first time. And it was quite odd that, you know, it was the one thing that they sort of were incapable of doing. And that was getting a run in the FA Cup. And I mean, it just remained a little bit of a bogey situation or game competition for us.
And what I want to ask you, when you think of Roger, what's the kit you think of?
Kit? The all red. I mean, I've got pictures of Roger Hunt with the red and white socks. In fact, they were the first socks I had. The old, you know, red, which is more red and white. We used to wear white shorts with a red stripe down the side. But you know, it's the image of him scoring the winning goal in the FA Cup final in the all red.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because I've seen the, you know, the pictures and stuff, and yeah. And favorite goal.
Favorite goal. I remember him scoring. I mean, Leicester were a bogey team for us in the 60s, and Roger scored the winning goal in the replay against Leicester in the 5th round of that FA Cup run. And as I say, Leicester appeared to be, you know, seemed to have the Indian sign over us at that time. So to bring them back to Anfield for a replay was seen as an opportunity, and Roger scored the winner, and it was huge achievement. And I think from that point on, I think a lot of people felt this is going to be Liverpool's year.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't too bad though, was it? I mean, I have to say though, my granddad I think he cried the day Roger, you know, finally left. It was tough for him, just like it was for me when Keegan left. But I'm so glad you got to, you know, meet your hero and then become friends with him, because that's what it's all about, you know. I mean, for me,
I mean, I got a call off his wife just after Roger died, and asked me to make a contribution and speak at the funeral. It was a great honor. I mean, I remember when I had a heart attack some years ago, and I got a phone call from him inquiring how I was. You know, fantastic. It was, you know, a real mark of the man. I mean, we had this. I certainly respected him, but to get a call off Roger Hunt while I was lying in bed, so to recover him, was a huge, a huge moment. And I said this, that when I got the call again off Rowan to speak at his funeral, I was more than honoured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's not a bad shout for David to childhood hero for Roger Hunt. You know, I've always said this: if you get to meet your hero, give him a hug, because you just don't know, you know, when you'll see him again. But David, I appreciate you coming on and telling your little childhood hero story. We've got we just had one with one of our buddies, Chris Delcross. He had Robbie Fowler. I believe we've got a few more with Gerrard, Kevin Keegan for me, and then I forgot the other one. But anyways, thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, David, for coming on. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Cheers, Daz. Thanks.